You beat me to the punch.
Yeah, you know.
What's going on, my
Quick
friend?
draw. Oh, just chilling in Southern Cal. It's a pretty warm day here today. It's probably pretty warm there too, huh?
Just 100 degrees, nothing big.
Yeah. Feels like
I'm
a
trying to,
hundred. Feels like 100 or so here, but might not be.
right? So we are in the Hangout live right now, and a little different background. I'm actually zooming in from my home office here. Kind
Nice.
of
I
look,
like it.
kind of looking like your setting right now with a fireplace and some guitars. What's up?
Yeah, I know. Copycat.
I know, right? But since my trip to California, I was told that I am supposed to self quarantine for 14
Um,
days.
uh,
So, and people around town kind of know my face and they knew I went to LA. So they were like, you're supposed to be self quarantining. So I said, all right, I'll get it done. So I'm home.
there you go.
So it's going to be fun, man. We've got an amazing show tonight, but
Oh yeah.
we got Jay Lee. Jay Lee obviously has a new movie out called Atypical Wednesday. He's a star on the show Orville with McFarlane, and comes as a writer from The Family Guy and The Cleveland Show. So this guy has got some definite skills going on, my friend.
Yeah.
Definite skills. We've got
Yeah.
a lot coming up. Let's say a quick hello to our sponsors over at Backbeat Music.
Beat. Yes. Love the
Backbeat.
logo.
There's their logo right there, man. I tell you what, we can't do it without them. They help us out greatly, and we appreciate you very much, Backbeat.
Yes.
So moving on to tonight's show, we got Jay Lee, and I don't think we hesitate anymore. Do you
Well, do you want to talk about the coming weeks we got coming up too, real quick?
want
Or
to do
no?
that now or at the end? We can do it now. We got Joey Warrant or Joey Allen from Warrant next week.
Yep.
We got Chips Enough coming up the week after that.
That's right.
We've
And
got
then
Moses
Magic
Moreno
Moreno. Magic
the week
Moreno the
after
following week.
the week after that, and then in July,
August. That's all
August.
July.
August, we've got some big names coming up again. So it's going to be a great couple of months here, man. So let's dive into the show, shall we?
Let's do it. Let's bring them in.
All right. Jay, what's happening, my friend?
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing, my friend?
All right.
I'm great. I'm great. How you guys doing?
We're
Good.
lovely. You got your wine? I see you got your wine. So let's cheers.
Cheers to you, fellas.
Right.
Cool.
And welcome to the Hangout Live, buddy. So
Thanks, man.
We've got a great show in store tonight, man. People have got to hear. Robbie, we were talking right before we brought Jay in.
Yep.
Jay's got one of the most inspirational stories I have heard that come out of Hollywood, man. And I really want to talk about that. And Jay, I hope you're okay with that. We'll start with that and we'll work up
Yeah,
to where
sounds
you are
good.
today.
Yeah, some
Sounds
of the
good, man.
backstory, the backstory of how it all started. So people don't realize the struggles people go through. Sometimes they see and go, oh, they see you or you're on the screen or whatever. They don't realize what it took to get there.
Yeah, yeah. It's a creative, hard but not hard journey. Once you get on it, and I always say, if you're doing, you guys know, if you're doing what you like to do and what you love, it's fun. Even the hard times end up being a part of your story. So yeah, me just getting here was a win.
Right. So let's take the folks back to University of Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And you came up. So now you went through, we'll go back even a little bit further. You were a classically trained pianist.
Yeah.
And you had to make some deals early on in your years with your mom to get you some piano lessons. You want to tell us about that?
Look at you finding your research. Look at that. Yeah, no, I started playing piano when I was like 3 or 4, and
Right.
I played for a couple of years, and then I quit because I wanted to be a kid. All kids just want to play and be outside or whatever. And my mom, she let me quit. And then at some point, I don't know how much time later, but within the next few months, I remember I was watching TV and there was this girl playing on PBS. And I just remember thinking to myself, I'm better than her. And I went back to my mom and I said, hey, I want to go back to lessons. And she said, okay. She said, but if you do it, you have to play until you're out of high school. You can't quit. And, at 6, I was like, yeah, sure, I'll make that agreement. And then next thing I know, she said, okay. And then I was playing piano, and trust me, there were plenty of times I wanted to quit. You see your friends out doing, you got to practice. But I'm glad she made me stick with it. And then it ended up getting me a scholarship to college. So that's how I ended up in Indiana.
So did you go on a full ride, or was it? How'd that work?
Yeah. So I ended up going to Indiana University because I was an athlete in high school also. And I was debating on either going to a conservatory. I think I whittled it down to like Juilliard and Oberlin were the two I really wanted to, look into. But Indiana, it just so happened, my old piano teacher, rest in peace, Sister Alice Eugene Ty, amazing woman, amazing musician and teacher. Pretty much like my second mother, there was this piano academy at IU every summer for like 3 weeks. And students or kids in high school could go, and you stayed in the dorms, and it kind of gave you that college experience, So I ended up doing that. And then once I went, it was IU, no question, because IU had one of the, and I think they still do have one of the top music programs in the country. And it was still a university and a D1 school. So it kind of was the best of all worlds for me.
Right.
Indiana was sort of it was a great place to be. We had its challenges sometimes, but for the most part, I always remember the great stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was dope, yeah. So I went to IU, ended up doing everything. I joined a fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha. I became president of my frat. I ran track for a little bit. Still doing music. Then I started doing theater. So that's how the acting part even came into place, because I broke my thumb freshman year. And so that was a very big deal.
Oh yeah. Wow.
So
That must have been really tough. I mean, you break your thumb. What did you do? Did you practice with the one hand, or what did you do? I mean,
It's exactly what I did. So it's funny, growing up playing sports and being a very active kid, no injuries. Freshman year, flag football. Some friend was like, "Hey Jay, you play flag football." I was like, "All right." And I remember I had these slick, no grip ass Adidas, and went and like tried to do something and literally slipped and fell. When I went to catch myself, my thumb just snapped back, and it was like a bowling ball in my hand. And then I just remember being so scared because I was like, I'm gonna lose my scholarship. And my professor at the time, another sort of world-renowned musician and pianist, Dr. Edmund Batter, didn't even take underclassmen at the time. So he had all upper level and grad students. I mean, really, 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 really talented artists and musicians. And here I was, this 18-year-old Black kid, like trying to figure it all out. But he was so awesome, but also really hard on me. And I remember I went in and I was like, "Hey, it's all bad. Like it looked like I had an extra thumb or something, right?" and I just remember he goes, "Okay," and he went over and he grabbed 2 books, which I still have right there, Bach and Scriabin, all left-handed repertoire. And he's like, "I'll see you next week." And he gave me 2 pieces, and then I played the rest of that semester with one hand.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense, man, because you had to change everything of your play style.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was more so a mindset, And at 18, and I've talked about this before, but it's tough, man. Like you're 18, and now you got to figure out what you want to do with your life. And I think with me doing classical piano specifically, because I didn't grow up playing jazz or gospel or it was all classical. It's not too many things you could do with that. It's either you become a concert pianist or you become a teacher, right? Professor.
Right.
Or you play in an orchestra. Like it's not a lot of, or maybe a composer, but I never had that skill set. But I think at that time, literally sitting there looking at my thumb, it's like, oh shit, what do I want to do?
Huh.
Like what am I gonna do? Because I was so good at that one thing, and once that gets taken away, you go, okay, well, now I got to make some huge decision that's gonna affect the rest of my life. And for whatever reason, I was like, I know what I'll do. I'll take an acting class because that's super easy.
Yeah.
I took a class and fell in love with it.
That's where the transition started happening then, really, at that point. That's when you started kind of moving towards that, to the acting part of the art.
Yeah, I'd never acted before. I've always said in high school, it was interesting because I went to an all boys Catholic high school, right? And it was only one of 5, 6 black kids in the entire school. So I always kind of joke that I was like in the middle. So I was kind of cool with everybody, but I also, no one knew like nobody knew anything about me. So I tell the joke, I was on the basketball team, or I broke my record in track, and I'd make fun of like the dorks and the musicians, but I was also lead chair baritone in the band and played chess. Like, I kind of just was like, let me just keep everybody close enough, But yeah, so then getting in college was the first time I'd ever acted. That was the first time I took a class, and I kind of just fell in love with it. And then I decided to add that as my second major. And that's kind of, and you talk about completely unexpected. I had no intention on becoming an actor at all.
So you go home, you got $200 in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
You're living at your mom's house, right?
Yeah. I graduated. I went back home.
Right.
I was the musical director for West Side Story at this theater, and got paid from that. And off of that bread, I was paying bills and care a couple stuff. And then I got down to that last 200.
So you got $200 in your pocket, and you're like, man, I got to make a decision.
Go time.
If I break this $100, I'm not going, right?
You know how it is, man. You break a 20, it's over. You break a 100, it's over. You know,
over.
Right.
I really, I really had that thought of I'm not gonna leave St. Louis for at least 2 or 3 years. And I think that was the part that made me go, okay, let me really figure this out. And I think I've talked about this before, but my brother, genius, right? Me and my brother are complete opposites though when it comes to sort of our career paths. My brother worked at MasterCard for years. He's a tech, like numbers and gadgets, really, really smart, take apart your watch or your computer. Like he understands all that stuff. Me, I'm like art, man, and life and love, and let's do better, and let's, music and vibration. You know what I mean? I'm on that tip. So, but there was a point in time where I asked him, I was like, man, maybe you could give me a job at MasterCard or something. And I'll work there for a couple of years, save enough money, and then I'll take off. But yeah, man, getting down that last 200, I was like, if I don't leave now, it's gonna be rough.
I'm stuck.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna be here.
So, is it true that you went over and saw your sister before, or a relative before you left, and your nephew got in the car with you? Is that right?
Yeah. So I had that 200. I went in the back. I said a prayer. I was like, look, God, if I'm supposed to stay in St. Louis, I'll stay here. And I've talked about this before because I feel like the power of what you talk about and what you say is incredibly, it's really, really powerful. So I remember being afraid to even ask the question of like, am I supposed to really stay here? Because if you get that answer, that's, yeah, you're supposed to be here for whatever reason, then I truly would have stayed. And I remember saying, but if I ain't, like, let me go, and got hit with that inspiration, that answer. So I went to the front. I said, Mom, I'm out. She said, okay. And I called my sister and my 2 nephews to say goodbye. And my oldest nephew was 15, answered the phone, and I was saying goodbye. And he's like, where are you going? I said, I'm driving to LA. He said, can I go? I said, man, ask your mom. He's like, Mom, can I ride to LA with Uncle Jay? She said, okay. I said, hey, bro, pack a bag. I'll be there in a sec. So kissed my mom, packed up my car, and went and picked him up, said bye to my sister and my youngest nephew, James. He hopped in the car, and then we drove out to LA. He slept most of the time, but it's all good.
You're supposed to be a co-pilot, man. Come on.
Yeah, he should do something to radio or tell a story, man, keep me awake.
Right.
That would have been a couple-day drive, though, right? You're coming from St. Louis. How many days did it take you to get out there?
2. I was trying to get here.
Yeah, okay.
I had it mapped out because, and here's another cool sort of moment. I had looked at the route that I could get from St. Louis to LA, and I think it was like a 27-hour drive total. I think I drove 17 hours the first day.
Wow.
Like and to think about that, I was a maniac. But I drove and I mapped out where I could stop, where I would have to stop, and it was Albuquerque. So I drove from St. Louis to Albuquerque the first trek, reached out to some fraternity brothers through email, and I said, "Hey, bros, look, my name is Jason Lee. I'm from, such and such chapter. I need a couch, or I don't even need a couch." I said, "Man, if y'all got a floor, I could just crash on. It's me and my nephew. I just literally need to get a few hours of sleep, and I'm up and out, And this was before social media, no Instagram, no Twitter. It wasn't like this. So
Right.
I had to find an email account through the university in Albuquerque.
Oh.
And, you don't know if anybody's going to get back to you. And these guys wrote me back. And they said, when you get to Albuquerque, call this number. And I got to Albuquerque, called the number. These cats pulled up, handed me a key card to a hotel. They got me a hotel room. I remember they got me some cookies, because I guess they got cookies at check-in. And they said, "Hey, bro, we're about to go watch the Lakers game. If you want to come hang out and, have some food, man, let us feed you before we put you back on the road." And it was dope, man. So we went, me and my nephew went, ate with them, broke bread. I went back, we went to sleep, showered, woke up, and then was back at it.
Wow. I know that drive. I actually just made that drive last weekend. We drove 19 hours from West Central Texas to LA.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we went out there to film a TV pilot of the show. So,
dig it. How did it go?
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if we get some network love or not. I've got a face for radio, so you never know, man.
Yeah. Well, between the two, you guys have enough. You got everything you need.
All right.
Yeah, you're good. You're good to go.
We'll be looking at your next movie. Don't worry.
There we go.
So you get to LA, or actually you're in Riverside, right?
Yeah. So my sister, she lived out in Riverside, Moreno Valley, which, if you don't know California, it's far.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it should be that far though, because I don't know how it is. I'm sure it's probably the same thing in Texas. St. Louis is like a 10-mile drive, 20-mile drive is nothing.
Right.
20, 30 miles. That's a 30-minute car ride.
Right.
30 miles in LA, you might as well be like, I'm in Mexico. It's something else, So I felt like I was close, but once I started driving, it was a brutal drive. Traffic.
Hours.
Oh yeah, at least 2 hours. At least 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, Robbie lives out there in the OC. He knows what you're talking about.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you get it. I tell people, man, if you south of the 10, hey, look, it was nice knowing you.
Right.
If you north of the 101, hey, peace.
Right.
So you're working at a mall.
Yeah.
Over there on the Riverside and trying to make your means that way and support yourself, but you're going back and forth to LA trying to just get seen, get known. How is that working out?
I had no idea what I was doing, to be honest. I remember, you know what? Go back to college for a quick sec. I had an acting teacher, Bruce Burgun, who we had actually created a new course, and it was film and TV acting in LA, because it was weird with the credit hours. I used music program. I think I was already at like 18 credit hours with just music stuff. So you're not talking about any electives, anything else. So I ended up taking like 22, 23 credit hours, and I had to get approval from the school because it was just a lot. But by doing that, I needed 4 credits, I think, in theater. And we came up with a senior class, which was this sort of collect about the industry. And I have a book on my shelf that says like how to act in Hollywood or something, right? Something random. But in the back of the book, there are all these hangout spots. So coffee shops and spots. So I just start circling stuff. So I would drive from my sister's crib in LA and just pull up, just be there. And I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, so I just was like, I'm in LA now, but I was doing a lot of journaling and it felt like I was on a big adventure in a weird way,
Right?
Because it's fun chasing your dreams, actually.
So how is it that you go from that to landing the role of the receptionist at the Family Guy?
So that was funny. I was in school, met a guy in the waiting room at a car shop getting my oil changed. I was in a great mood. It was early. Somehow him and I strike up a convo. I said, hey, yeah, I'm just moving to LA. I'm super excited. And he goes, oh, that's cool. I know 2 people out there. again, give me your email address. I'll put you in touch. So he gave me two people's contact. I emailed one young lady. She never hit me back, but this other guy does. And this dude's name is Dave Newstadter, who is now a big time producer in Hollywood. But at the time, he was like an assistant, you know, no power, no nothing. But me, he worked for New Line Cinema. One of my favorite movies was Menace to Society. I was like, oh, you work at New Line. That's my, put me in, like, okay, I'm here. And he said, no, man, yeah, I literally was like, yeah, so I'm, you know, let me know when I shoot. And he's like, nah, bro, that's not how this works. But he became very instrumental because I had just started writing scripts at the time. And he really encouraged me to keep doing that. He said, the fact that you wrote a script, you're a writer. And I didn't really understand understand what that really meant until later on in my career. But anyway, he knew this other young lady who worked at the front desk. She got a promotion. She tells Dave, because they all went to IU. We just didn't know each other.
Right.
And he's like, oh yeah, this dude just moved out here. Let me see if he wants a gig. So he called me. And I'm like, I guess. And ended up going in, and it was Family Guy. And I was working as the receptionist.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. We've got a producer that's got to come in and ask a couple questions. You good with that?
All good, yeah.
We got the audience reeling at the bit right now. They want to ask you some things. So let's go ahead and bring
What's up, audience?
Right? All right. Well, who do we have here? Looks like we got A-Dub coming on the screen. A-Dub, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good.
Hey.
How are you guys?
What's
got a
up?
couple questions for Jay?
I do. I have two, and they both involve music.
Okay.
The first one is I read where you played at Carnegie Hall at 12 or 13. Do you remember what you played there?
Yes and no. I remember it was a Tchaikovsky piece, but
Okay.
I don't remember which one. Yeah. So how that happened even was there was this music scholarship or music competition. It was a world piano form at Carnegie Hall, but I don't remember what. That whole day was a blur. I forgot my socks. My mom and I were walking in New York City. We had never been in New York before. I forgot my damn socks. And I'm like, so it was all very much a blur. But yeah, that happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
The second question I have for you is I heard you talking about your different classical influences. Is there a particular piece that is your favorite to play or listen to?
So I was actually getting ready to do a concert before, the world sort of shut down, before COVID hit. The first world shutting down, not the awakening shutting down, the COVID shutdown. But yeah, and I had a concert on the books. So there's a piece by Chopin, Ballade, G minor. I had never played before, but I love it. So when I was putting together the concert, that was sort of my treat to myself to add that piece to it. And of course, I hadn't played in I don't think it was over 10 years. Yeah, so of course the concert, I'm still gonna do it once everything opens back up. It'll be the hardest concert I've ever done because it's mine. I can put whatever I want in it. So, but yeah, Chopin Ballade, G minor is a beautiful piece. I'm a big Chopin, Debussy, late Beethoven, romantic period fan. So.
I think we're going to need some tickets there, Jay. Because
okay, yeah.
Robbie plays classical guitar also. Thanks, Dub. We'll bring you back.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right, bye. Nice meeting you. Peace.
So Robbie, when they play their shows, he gets up on stage and he'll play things like the Fleur de Lis and stuff like that. So I think we need some tickets, Robbie.
Sonata in C, Rondo alla Turca. I'll do different pieces, like kind of a piano style on guitar.
You know what? Guitar is an instrument I've tried to learn. For some reason, my brain is like, nah. Every time I'm like, but you know what though? I'm like that with all instruments. Even though I play piano, whenever I see someone playing a piano, I'm fascinated. I'm like, how are you doing that? Music arts in general, when I see somebody or writing a script, like you take something out of nothing, like you pick up a thing that's shaped this way with strings, and then you do it a certain way and it makes something that sounds amazing. You're like, how is this happening?
Yeah.
Like, I'm still fascinated by that.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
I am too.
Keeps
very
it
much.
fresh. Works. Yep.
Right. So you leave the Family Guy. You have a script that you wrote. You go to a
Mhm.
couple film festivals with it.
Well, I made a movie, so
Right.
I was very ambitious. I made a movie that ended up getting into a couple of film festivals.
Okay.
So
Which film festivals and what was the name of the movie?
which was based on my fraternity and stepping. So I basically went back to my school for 3 months and documented us prepping for the step show. And for people who don't know what stepping is, it's rhythmic clapping and stomping. You know, it's a whole thing. It's a whole world, right? But I'd seen this film called Rise by Dave LaChapelle, and it was about this dance sort of culture movement here in LA. And it was just shot extremely beautiful, just a dope sort of concept. And at the time, I said, "Oh, I haven't seen a movie on stepping." So I had this whole idea to make a movie. So I literally took a bucket of candy, like dumped it out at the front desk, and I like put it on my front desk. So I'm like collecting money to make this movie, and so anyway, I ended up raising enough money to do it through some friends, and went back to Indiana for a few months, and we filmed it. Came back, I edited that movie at the front desk of Family Guy. So I left. I took a leave of absence. Came back, edited the whole movie, and sent it out. And I think the first time I ever saw myself on screen was at this festival called the Arizona Black Film Festival. I don't even know if it's still around, but it was in Arizona. And I drove to Arizona, me and my girlfriend at the time. We drive to Arizona. My sister surprised me, and I dropped them off at the theater because we were running late. And when I run in after I parked, I see myself on the big screen, and I was like, it was a very surreal moment. You know, movie didn't get out there, but yeah, we played at a couple different festivals.
That's cool.
Right on. So you come back after the film festivals and you join the staff as a writer on the Cleveland show.
Yeah. After a few years, so I left, struggled, wrote, was broke, hustle. Right. You know how it is, and then ended up coming back to write for the Cleveland show probably like 4 or 5 years later after I left Family Guy initially.
So was that your connection with Seth MacFarlane that got you into that door? Or?
Yeah. So going back to being the receptionist, at the time, you know, everyone at Family Guy, not everyone, but a lot of the PAs wanted to be TV writers, right? So a lot of hey, look at that goof troop. Who's that guy? So a lot of people wanted to be writers, and I wasn't trying to write TV. I was doing feature stuff. So I ended up meeting so many people at the front desk, from actors and celebrities coming in to do voiceover work, the producers and the writers that worked there. Seth and I just became friends. So what happened is we were just pals, and they would always go do karaoke. So the writers they would, you know, go to the spot to do karaoke. And this is before Seth was like a huge, you know, people knew Family Guy, but you still didn't know who he was, right? Not, you know, a handful of people. So it was still, you could go out, it wasn't no problem. It was before a lot of filming everything live. But I just remember being broke, and they'd be like, "Oh, Jay, just come on, we got you." And it was a very hip and cool thing to be able to hang with them, because everyone wanted to hang around them, you know? So, but I just went, and I was myself. And the same way I talked to you, I talked to everybody else. And we just all became friends. So by the time I left and came back, Cleveland had already been on the air for 2 seasons. And I was out one night with Seth. And I knew Mike Henry before. I knew everybody that worked there. I still knew. And then the conversation came up, and I was like, you know, I think the show could use my voice. I think I could be a good writer on the show. And then he said, "Oh, absolutely. It's TV stuff." Because nobody knew I wanted to write television at the time. So that's why it never really was on anybody's radar, I think. So yeah, ended up doing that for a couple seasons. And then the show got canceled. Like, it happens though. But yeah, I think it went 4 seasons, which is cool.
Wow. So there was a lull in there between from working the front desk into that. You said there's like 4 or 5 years before that break.
4 years. 4 years. I just kept writing. I wrote probably like 6, 7 scripts.
Wow.
Features. I probably wrote 4 or 5 TV shows.
Wow.
And I met some other friends who, like a good buddy of mine, who I got to give a lot of credit to, this cat named Rob Lobel. he was a producer and is a producer, and I somehow ended up doing this non-arable pilot with Rob, but I was just in Village and just talking with him. So me and him struck up a friendship. So he would have a couple gigs, and you know, Pride is a thing. And he knew me. He's like, Jay, if you need something, bro, like let me know. I can get you. I'm selling these shows. If you need something, let me just hire you. So he would put me on with these shows. So I worked on a couple gigs with him as like a producer assistant or producer or co-producer. And I just always wanted enough just to sort of like pay my bills. But I remember this, I'll tell this quick story. I don't know if I've told this before. There was a guy named, I won't say his name, but he was the showrunner for one of these shows. Awesome dude. And he was just one of those guys like, remember, what's my man? J.K. Simmons from, he played in Spider-Man, he played the reporter dude. He does. I mean, he's been in all kinds of stuff. He's in Whiplash. He's in Farmers commercials.
Right.
Bald dude, but just an awesome actor. Right. Imagine a guy like him, straight shooter, cussed a lot, didn't give a fuck. He was just like, boom, boom, it is what it is, right? So I started working on this one show, and again, I just wanted enough. I didn't want extra responsibility, because when you start a show, it's a lot of work. Right. You know, like there's a lot of, you're creating something out of nothing. And these were at the time, I think, were like game shows and stuff. So anyway, I do one show, it's great. About 6 months later, my man Rob has another one. So he's like, oh yeah, just come on. So it was a game show. And basically, for every question you had to have research, right? Because when you're giving out money and all that, you had to have sources for the answers. Cool. So the job was every day, you just find 5 sources for 20 questions, and that's your quota for the day. So I said, okay, that's cool. So I can go in, and it usually took about, 7-8 hours. So my thing was, well, shit, if I blast them out, I get my quota done. I could be done by 4. I do a little bit of extra, and I kind of have my day. So I was just killing it, right? And I remember the guy called me in the showrunner. He's like, he's like, Jay, he's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I said, what do you mean, man? I'm just, He's like, we want to give you a promotion. You never won it. What are you doing? You want to be an actor? He's like, you're a freaking producer. He's like, I don't understand why anybody wants to be an actor. You're a hell of a producer, and we want to make you co-producer on the show, and you won't let me. I said, look, I don't want to do all that. So here's how I got me. We end up shooting in Atlanta, right? And we have a whole set, we're shooting. And I get there, and I'm just going down to sort of, I don't know what I was doing there, to be honest, because my job was like, okay, y'all got the questions, you got the answers, you got your host, I'm out. So they said, no, Jay, we want you to come to Atlanta. Get to Atlanta, we're walking around the set. Next thing I know, he goes, Jay, come here. I was like, oh, what's up? So we're in the control booth, right? Well, actually on the floor. So the way the show was set up, if it was like a touch screen thing, right? But it wasn't really touch screen. Like when you touch it, someone else has to fire it up, so it's all real time, right? So I'm on the floor with the guy running the computer, running the entire system. And the guy, he's like, Jay, put these on. And I put the headphones on. He's like, all right, you run all this. And left. So I was like, what are you doing? So now it's me sort of like on the floor. And when someone would answer, because there were real contestants and a real host, and when they would go answer, whatever it is or move things around, I had to be the one to say, okay, now, no, wait, that's the wrong answer. Wait. So I was actually producing, this show, and we laughed about it we went out to the bar we were staying at, and we had drinks and laughed at it. He's like, I told you you're a fucking producer. I'm like, all right.
So you added that to your credits there, man.
Every single thing that felt like some sort of misstep or issue ended up being a tool in my bag.
Right. So you go to the Cleveland show, you've got Orville that comes up, which, man, would love Orville.
Thanks, man. I can't wait till we get back to set, man. It's a dope show. I was just talking to Seth about it the other day. I think, we're waiting to see what
I think he's got that LA internet out there. There you are.
Uh-oh, there we go.
Look at you. Now you're on the show with Grimes, right?
Yeah, Scotty Grimes. Yeah, do you guys know Scott?
No, we want to though.
It feels like you guys would know and love Scott. Yeah, Scott's an amazing musician, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Maybe you might have known him. Yes.
There you guys are. He looks like he's fun.
Oh man, me and Scott had so much fun doing this show. Like literally joking, making the set fun because it's long hours and it can get tedious. But you're literally on a spaceship, and whenever you start to feel down, you're like, dude, I'm on a spaceship.
How bad can it be? I'm on a spaceship.
Come on, man. And if I want to go get coffee or snacks, if I go right there, but I'm on a spaceship.
Really?
Yeah, our set is amazing. It's a full-on 2-level. You can get lost on this set. It's a spaceship.
Wow. Now, where do you film at? What studios do you film at?
On the Fox lot. We got really lucky with that. A lot of productions, it's expensive to shoot in LA. So a lot of people shoot in Atlanta or Canada or, different places. So we got pretty fortunate to be here and not have to, uproot for 8 months out of the year. And which, by the way, that's the job. A lot of my friends, they spend more time in Vancouver and Toronto, you know what I mean? Like, that's just what it is. Or you get a gig in New York and you go to New York for a year or two,
Really?
Yeah, so, but luckily, yeah, I'm here in LA. I didn't have to leave.
Wow. Orville's right. I was glad to see it got picked up for another season.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man. Seth showed me some behind the scenes stuff of what we shot already this season. I said it last year. I said it the first season. I said it feels like we shoot a movie every episode, and it's only bigger and bigger and bigger now. And it literally feels like every episode is its own movie.
Now it's coming out on Hulu this season, right?
Yeah, only on Hulu. Yeah, that was a big thing that they announced at Comic-Con last year.
Right.
But I think Seth and the team, they just thought it was better to just go straight streaming. Because in the way our show is set up, I think it may seem to make more sense.
Right. So we got Orville, and then of course we've got to talk about it. We got Atypical Wednesday that I just watched this past weekend and fell completely in love with this character. Now, Robbie, I was telling Robbie a little bit before, and Robbie's checking it out.
Oh,
so
awesome.
There's this cast. Of course, you got Seth Green in there, who's hilarious. And you go through, and forgive me for saying this, but you kind of go through like a self-evaluation and connection with yourself through this little boy that you are trying to get home to his parents. And things that you're forcing him to kind of face and in the front of, bullies and self-doubt and belief and all these are things that is forcing you to actually come to terms with it yourself, right?
Yeah, well, and I think at the core of the movie is matter of fact, I'm gonna show you something real quick.
All right, cool.
I have an old before I change the title. Hang on. It's just right here, so I'll show you.
I'm telling you guys, this movie, I sat here, I went through every single emotion. I went through laughter. I was happy. I cried. I felt like, wow, I need to look into myself more, and all of these things that he went through and becoming a father. And it's an incredible movie.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. We'll watch it probably tonight.
So initially the movie was called Wednesdays, right?
Oh, wow.
But this was one of the first posters, which I thought was great.
Right.
Because it sums it all up.
It does.
Right. You got that character and you got the kid. But one thing that I wanted to do with the movie, and especially now with the state of everything in the world, is we don't talk to each other. We just talk at each other. And I think that's one thing that you couldn't find more two opposite people, like a black man in his 30s and this young white kid who meet. And it was loosely based on a true story. Because I would see this kid in the elevator when I was going to therapy every Wednesday in real life. So that's what inspired it. I would see this young white kid on the elevator. He was really quiet. He'd be with his mom. And I don't know, for whatever reason, when we would see each other in the elevator, we just I say what's up to him. And he kind of just, do that,
Right.
And so one day he had on some new shoes and I said, hey, nice shoes. And he just started smiling. And you could tell his mom was like, you could tell he was trying to get out of the shell for whatever reason he was going to therapy. Right. So when I get to my therapist's office, I said, oh, she said, you're in a really good mood today. And I said, yeah, I just saw my little homie on the elevator. She said, what? I said, yeah, no, every Wednesday, this little white kid is my best friend. Don't know.
Right.
And she looked at me like I was crazy. But I said, oh, that's a really cool movie idea. So one of the things I really wanted to do in it is, make a movie about two people who talk to each other.
Right.
And one thing the kid says in the movie, he's like, yeah, my parents talk at me. I don't listen. And you know how it is, man. People start talking at you, like, whatever. Anybody trying to listen, but when you talk to somebody, it's different.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So there's a scene in the movie where you come to the realization that this girl who you called a couple of whiskeys and a mistake
yeah,
goes back and tells you that you're going to be a dad. And here you are, because I tell you that the character in the movie, you couldn't have been a greater influence on this young man. And here you are filled with doubt that you would make a good father, that you weren't ready to be a dad. And all along, you've been being a father type to this kid all day.
Sure. That's yeah. It's interesting. It takes someone else to say, sometimes we forget why we're special.
Right.
And it takes a stranger to say, hey man, I like your music, or I like your shirt, or I like your vibe, or I like your energy.
Yeah.
The world is telling you one thing, so you start believing that. Then it takes somebody else to say, no, I actually dig that. So yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes of the baseball scene when, my character has that moment of like, I'm gonna be a bad dad. And then he's like, my dad never does stuff like this with me. Right? Cool dad.
Yeah. It's an incredible movie. It runs you through all the gamuts of emotions, and being a father myself, and the era that we're in right now in our world, and the things that are going on. Man, I ain't gonna lie. I sat down here and I cried. As to see a beautiful connection like that, and the way that it should be.
Yeah,
not the way that we deal with right now in the real world, but the way that it should be, where it's just a man and a kid trying to get through life the best they can and helping each other. And take away the fact that it's a black man, take away the fact that it's a white kid. It's just two people connecting on a real level. And that, to me, I mean, like right now, I'm getting choked up. That's what we need more of in this world.
Yeah, no, I really, really appreciate that, brother. Like, in a very real way. Thank you for saying that. Because, when I wrote the first draft of the script, I think I just wrote it maybe in a week. It just kind of came out. And I think I've always been able to write exactly what I think, right? And not make it, I try to make it just palatable. It's a real easy concept. We don't have to get lost in a lot of stuff. We don't have to get caught up in it's real simple. Don't be that type of person, be this type of, you know what I mean? Like, just give a shit, love people, that sort of thing. And then we all end up completely missing the target because of all the reasons. But yeah, no, I really, really appreciate you saying that. And I wanted to make something that for me was important, even though it is a comedy and it's a dark comedy and all of that. There are some moments in it where, even when I watched it recently, and I've seen it a billion times, right? But I still, like I was saying earlier about the music stuff.
Yeah.
See someone play. I look at this movie as if I didn't make it. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
That's a pretty powerful moment. Wow, I didn't think about that, And then I go, oh no, wait, I did.
Yeah, right. That's a true gift to be able to sit back and see it from a fan perspective. It's like writing music or producing music. Sometimes you got to sit back and not get so emotionally involved or tied in because you are doing it, where you sit back and go, and then you see it from a different perspective. That's really powerful to be able to do that. And I love the fact that you wrote that from an experience, because it makes it even more powerful. That it's just like writing a song. You want to write something that and you felt in some sort of way. So you took it from something you had, which is just makes it that much more powerful.
Yeah. And to that point, man, I got to be honest, therapy and psychologists and the Black community, that's not something I learned about. I didn't come up with people saying, you should talk to somebody about that. As a young man, it's like, show me your muscles, be tough, don't let them see you sweat, don't cry. It's that kind of stuff. And then, we end up creating these barriers and these layers. It's why, I don't know how you guys feel, but there could be a random song, a random moment. I could see a random beautiful thing, and I'm just all of a sudden emotional because everything is coming up. You know what I mean? I've very much been like that the last 3 months. Just everything is like I'm in touch with all of it, you know. But to make a movie based on sort of my experience that had to do with therapy without trying to make it a thing, you know, like, hey guys, I'm doing this thing that's important. It's like, no, I just want to tell my story about me going to therapy every Wednesday and unpacking a lot of stuff like trauma, pain, a lot of stuff you got to shed to keep pushing forward, you know. And it's stuff that gets you to where you need it. But at a certain point, you gotta unpack it. You know, you gotta go, okay, that served its purpose. Let me go ahead and let that out and let in some new stuff, you know. But yeah, I think all the stuff I've written has been things that kind of resonated from a truthful place for me. Because if I don't like it, what's the point?
Right. And I think so many of us need that outlet, the therapy or the therapist to talk to, because we're not able to talk to each other. And like you said, you know, as 3 men sitting here on the screen, we're supposed to be men and not talk about it. And I'm the guy who cries when he watches The Voice and somebody does good. I'm like, thank you, buddy.
Yeah. Which is, by the way, awesome. That's how it should be. You know? Like, that's an awesome thing. Yeah, I feel you, bro. Like, when I see somebody happy or winning or just doing something, I'm a champion for that stuff, man. And I think that's how it should be. I don't think it should be whatever we thought it was to be a man. You know, it's different. There's layers to it. It's, you know, and it's actually kind of cool once you get into it.
I see my wife look at me out of the corner of her eye sometimes, you know. During the show, she's like, "You're crying." I'm like, "How could you not?"
Yeah, but listen, man, she loves it. She's somewhere right now, and when she's out, she said, "I love my husband, so he's so in tune."
Right.
You know, and it's so powerful too to what the thing you said earlier, going back when you said you say something positive about somebody, a stranger. It doesn't really matter who it is, whether it's a friend or a stranger. Those kind of things are extremely powerful because you don't know the kind of barrage that have been going on. The world's been telling them, people have been telling them, and you give somebody some kind of uplifting thing and it can change their life. It's 100%. So important to be able to do that, because why else are we here?
Spot on, bro. I'm gonna tell you, I had gone out not too long ago. I threw my mask on, did all my stuff because California still shut down. And so I had gone to, I think I was grabbing like a bottle of wine or something from the store. I get in there, it's beautiful, like this gorgeous 6'2", black, like buzz cut woman. Like she looked like a moon floating, and she was just stunning, right? And there was these 2 young knuckleheads, clearly drunk, and they're just in there like just doing the most, you know, being what you think a cool guy is, right? Flirting, but being extremely stupid. And I'm looking at these guys like, hey, I hope I never did that, like ever. And B, you can't think this is working, right? Like you're doing horribly. But she was so poised and so nice. She just was, you know, smiling out, and you could tell she had years of experience of dealing with this type of person, you know, and like, okay, yeah, thank you. I'm not going to be rude. I'm not going to be mean because I don't know what that leads to, but let me just. So she ends up behind me in line, and these guys are still like doing all this goofy shit, right? So some puts her stuff on the belt. I said, look, I want to pay for her stuff. And she's like, why? You don't have to do that. I said, no, because the way that you handle that, kudos to you. Have a great night. This is the least I could do on behalf of just goofy dudes. Let me apologize for them. Just please let me do it. And, you know, I paid for it and I left, and I got in my car, and she came out, you know, looking for me. And it really was like, no, I just want to pay it for, like, just have a great night. And I left, you know, and I'll probably maybe never see this person again, but you would like to think, and you don't do it for that reason, but you would like to think that maybe you deposited a little bit of positivity and love in the world versus her like, these dudes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Brenda Preston is one of the viewers tonight, and she She said, so you made a comment earlier in the show about how your brother was a brilliant person, but she wants to know, have you actually ever listened to your story? Because she's incredibly impressed with the type of young man that you are.
Tell her I said, well, thank you for saying that. I think I don't do that enough to answer. The short answer is no, I don't. And I don't know if I'll tell you this. One thing that my piano teacher, Sister Alice Ty, taught me, young man too, and it just stuck with me. And I think the classical music and prepping for concerts and all that and competitions, I think it's still in me. She would always say, gotta do the nitty gritty and never rest on your laurels. Now, as a kid, 13 years old, you don't really get that. Never rest on your laurels. What does that mean? Don't, whatever, is whether it was any accomplishment I've ever had in my life, it's not that I'm not proud of it. I'm extremely proud of it. I'm extremely fortunate, but I'm also somebody who I've never been a braggadocious person, and I've never been a person to be like, look at me, I did this thing. Yeah, it's never really been sort of a part of that's a suit that doesn't necessarily fit. So when we talk about like my story, if I heard someone else tell my story, I'd probably be it'd be amazing. But for me, it's just like, okay, I don't know. I just, but thank you for saying that, because I think it is helpful to remind myself that, I'm doing something right. That's resonating with people.
Absolutely. Producers have a couple more questions for you here, so let's bring them back in.
Sure.
See what we got here. I see the comments going crazy on the screen here. People are loving it. Hey, Dub.
Hey.
What's up? Did you come back so you could give me that Guardians of the Galaxy 2 deluxe book
album? That's one of my favorites right there.
Okay. It's the album?
It is. It's the vibe.
So dope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love it.
Thank you. I'm loving your piano, as are many of our viewers. They keep commenting on how nice it is.
Oh, thank you.
Right.
I have two final questions for you, dear.
Okay.
Number one, what has the quarantine social distancing, what has it taught you about you?
The thing it taught me about me is that I think this goes back to the piano stuff. And I'm not saying I want more of it, because like I said, you gotta be careful about what you put out. But I recognize I have an ability to sort of fall in love with the suck. Early on, this is gonna suck. What are you gonna do about it? Mm-hmm. And every day is a new day. And I think if I get wrapped up in the emotions of, wow, this is really hard. And again, it's not just the quarantine, it's everything now. So all of this is happening. I think I try to just say, okay, what can I do? What can I control? I could wake up, I could do my little push-ups, I could eat right, I could write, I could do interview with some great people, connect with some people I never met before. That's my way. And I talk about stuff, I post stuff, I got a little bit of a platform, so I try to share information. But I think it's taught me something that I may have taken for granted, and that's just the ability to sort of like, okay, down.
Well, that's super awesome. My final question for you is, if you could have a conversation with your 20-year-old self, what would you tell him?
Oh boy. Okay, check this out. You talk about emotions coming up, right? I answered this question about 2 weeks ago. Very talented buddy of mine named Josh Patan, who's actually in my movie. He has a little cameo. He plays one of the parents of the baseball kids. Really, really talented cat, and really amazing acting teacher. So he had a class, and he asked me to come kind of do a guest, whatever. So talked to his class, and a student asked me that question. And before I knew it, I'd answered it in a very honest way, but I found myself, I was like, oh, and I saw and Josh was like, everybody in the class. But that to say, I said, I would tell my 20-year-old self, my younger self, the fearlessness and the sort of faith I have in my ability as an artist and that fearlessness to drive across the country and do this and make this. You can have that same fearlessness when it comes to your heart and your love life. And I think that's something that I didn't know at the time. Because again, we have our own stuff, right? But I think going through and being, an adult now, you start to realize, oh, okay, it's okay to be, I can open up a little bit. So I think I would tell my 20-year-old self that if he would listen, because he was a knucklehead.
He may not be receptive to your message, huh?
He would have, no, you know what he would have said? He would have said, yeah, cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It was very nice meeting you.
Thank you, and great questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Dub, and thanks for saying they're admiring his piano and not his organ.
Oh,
Yes, thank you for that. By the way, you know what? I think I'm gonna get a Rhodes next. I want to get a Rhodes.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
I love those things, man. That might be my treat to myself at some point. Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the changing in life. Obviously, you're not $200 leaving St. Louis anymore. You're getting to find your way in life here and stuff. How is it that you've stayed as humble as you are? Because everything in the comments, Jay, is Michael Lochner says how positive you are. You're infectious to listen to. Gail Schiller says, what a marvelous attitude. I absolutely love this man. You are so humble and so easy to talk to. And let's face it, and I'm sure you know this, you work in the industry. That doesn't always happen, my friend.
No, well, I'll say this. I've been lucky enough to avoid a lot of that, right? I think two things. One, I think you gotta be around people that hold you accountable, So my best friends and the people I spend the most time with are people who won't lie to me. If any of us get out of pocket or you start doing some stuff that, isn't in alignment with who you are, you got people that'll pull your elbow like, hey man, you need to come this way. I was just telling somebody literally last night, there was this cat, we were literally talking about this. We were talking about how in this industry, if you're not really secure in sort of who you are, what you want to be, there are a lot of people who come out here and they start over and they reinvent themselves. But what people don't really understand about these sort of big cities is these big cities, LA knows what it is. When people say LA is fake, no, it's not. LA is not fake at all. LA knows exactly what it is. Now, it's up to you to determine whether or not you can hang in that environment and
Right.
carve your own path out, which I've luckily been able to do. But LA knows exactly what it is. It's been doing this for a long time. But I was telling a story about a cat I went to school with. Man, good looking, all American, like Kentucky white cat, like clean, like just literally like heartland, just corn-fed baseball player,
Right.
really talented dude. He ended up moving to LA not too long after I did, and he got a job at this one studio working as a PA. Long story short, it's really heartbreaking. We didn't talk for maybe like a year or two, and the next time I saw him, and this goes to how do I stay humble? One of my best friends, my brother, right? His name is D. Grew up together in St. Louis. He moved to LA out of high school. So when I went to college, he came to LA. So he's somebody I'm still really close with. And even if we don't see each other for 6 months, we don't skip a beat. It just so happened that me and D and my guy were gonna go out. He said, yo, man, I know these guys who they know about this club we could go to. So I was like, okay, well, we're all struggling, and if we could get into a club somewhere, that's cool. So we get in the car, and he tells this story about a night that he goes out, a new group of friends he's hanging out with, and, alcohol, drug, like it's a bunch of crazy stuff involved that don't have nothing to do with why you came out here. And I remember he was saying, oh, no, but I can kind of dip in and out of that. They have connections, this, that, and the third. And I remember my buddy looked at me, he's like, hey man, you can't do that shit. He was like, nah, not you. And we ended up going to the spot. The friends he was hanging with, different crowd from us. So we left and was like, hey man, I just remember telling him, I said, hey, be careful, and hit me up whenever. And that was probably 12 years ago. And I say all of that to say, you got to be real. I'm going to rephrase that. I would normally say you got to be real secure in who you are, but that might be hard, right? Like people might not know how to do that. And I think how you can do that is allowing the positive stuff people say to you, right, that you might not have thought about to really help shape you. Because I think we live in this time and world right now where everything is so heavy. You know what I mean? Like people have a lot of depression, self-doubt, self-awareness. But I think the best thing you can do is just have a positive outlook on yourself, right? And really look at the world and look at what you want to do and say, what do I want to do? What makes me happy? And then actually do things that fall in line with that. And I think as you move that way, you're going to have people who are on that same page with you, on that same vibration, you know?
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
spot on. It's your vibration is infectious for everybody, including myself. I love hearing this because this is how I think and I believe, but hearing it from you, you just elevate everybody's energy. And I
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, thank you. And I think it's interesting because you don't know until somebody else, like if you play a tune, you're like, I think this is cool. And then somebody else is like, that's the best thing I've ever heard. You're like, oh, I kind of was just noodling a little bit, you know, but it's good to hear somebody second you, you know?
It does. And some people go, you probably get tired of hearing it. I go, I never get tired of hearing positive feedback.
Yeah.
I always thank people. I used to be like, oh, give it a low. It could have been this or could have been that a little better. Now I'm just like, thank you. Thank you.
That's been, I'll tell you, Seth Green, he gave me some great advice when I finished this movie. He said, Jay, learn just to say thank you. He said, because what's going to happen is you make something, and Seth has been doing this for 30 years, something, something crazy. We've been doing this his whole life. He said, what happens is people want to, their way of sharing, there he is, my man, their way of sharing with you is to compliment you. And the best thing you can do is just be a conduit, be a vessel for that. So say thank you, smile, take it in. And you don't, have to worry about giving it back or feeling insecure. Just let people say thank you and they appreciate you.
I'm the guy that's got the anxiety, and I talk to Robbie on the often, and we talk about the show and whether or not we're going to get, network love or we'd get a stream or whatever the case may be. And he just keeps telling me, positive energy, just put it out there. We're going to do it. We're, just keep thinking positive and putting it out there. And to hear you come along those same lines, man, really kind of just makes me feel a lot better about where we're at in those worlds.
Hey, listen, I'm here.
Right.
Look, at the very least, I don't know if you're going to get a network deal or I'm a fan. You'll get a click, a like, subscribe from me. So,
let's, as long as we're having fun and we're spreading some positivity, we're winning.
Yeah,
That's
it. That's it. That's all it is, man.
Yep.
We just want a place for people to come and get away from the nightmare that we're all facing out there right now, and the fear and the hate and who's this and who's that and what side of the aisle you're on and all of that. We just want a place where you can kick back and have a glass of wine and share some stories, and we all love each other and respect each other, and that's all it's about,
Yeah, I dig that. I think it's needed, man. I really do. I think, we all kind of need, because at the end of the day, I tell you, one of my favorite lines in the movie is when Alex says, do all black people have black gums? And I almost took the joke out because I was like, is this too much? And then I keep it. But then Gabe says, I don't know why. Why don't I know if all black people have black gums, or why don't I know why? Well, there's something like that, right?
Right.
And Alec, the kid, says, the first one. And I say, black people are the same, but different. I don't know.
Yeah.
And we knock on the door. And it's kind of as simple as that.
It is.
And again, not just, it could be anything. It could be man, woman. It could be adult, kid. It could be left-handed person, right-handed person. We're all the same, but different, but I don't know. Whatever. Appreciate you, and I can keep it pushing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You said white people and black people are the same, but different. And I thought that line in the movie was great because that's what we are, and Robbie and I talked.
It's that simple. Like, it really, same thing. Again, I was thinking about this woman at the grocery store. It's like, I appreciate you. You probably deal with these knuckleheads all the time. All the time. Right. Here's what's funny. I think we don't know how to teach. At some point, this guy really thought, man, he looked so goofy. He really thought he was winning too. He was like, I was like, who taught you that? Bro, how do you think that's working? Read the room. Anyway.
Come on, we were all knuckleheads back then, man. When you see a fine lady like that walk in, we all stupid, I know.
That's my point. Like nobody, but no, we probably all did, to your point. But it's like we learned that from a movie or something. It's like, I guess that's what you're supposed to do. Be a jerk until it's cute. I don't know. Like,
right.
She's like, oh, I guess. Like, I don't know. Maybe don't do that.
I tried to play the cool role, but I just wasn't that cool. You know what I mean? So, babe.
Yeah. You find out who you are. You know what I used to always say? I was never the guy. If you walked into a spot that you're like him. But right. I was this guy. I was the guy that you walk into a spot, you see the guy like him, and he's a jerk, and you go over to the bar and you're laughing with your girlfriend about it. I'm the guy at the bar going, man, I hope I never look like him. Right. And then you and I end up laughing, and now I'm the guy who's like, oh, you're actually kind of, So I figured out what my lane was. I was never like the cool, this guy. Like that suit never fit me either, Right. But I think if you find out who you are and like that, that's the thing that's attractive. You gotta like whatever and whoever you are. Yep. And that's the thing people gravitate towards.
And that's what I tell my kids, Jay, is between my wife and I, we've got 7 kids between us.
Oh, dig it. Okay.
And I tell them, I said, look, I grew up like Alec in your movie. I grew up the fat white kid that didn't really know where he belonged, was kind of an introvert, had a single mother, and didn't have the dad influence and the male influence to show me how to be a man. Mm-hmm. But there was a point in time in my life where I became confident. And I became somebody who knew who he was. And when I walked into the room, whether anybody else in that room thought the same, I was the alpha male in my mind. And I walked in with that surety and who I was. And I never had issues with having ladies or girlfriends or women in my life. And my kids tell them the same thing, is you just have to be confident in who you are. And it doesn't matter how you look or how you're built or any of those things. It matters because women are attracted to confidence, and they're attracted to men who know who they are.
Yeah, absolutely. I think confidence. I think that's it. Somebody asked me a while ago, "What's my type?" I said, "People that like themselves."
There you go.
If you like yourself, can you start there? Then, if you like it, how about this? If you don't, it's like if I made you something, and let me cook y'all something, and I brought it out, and I was like, I don't know if I like this shit, but. You'd be like, hey, look, can you give me something you like? Can you make something you like? Okay. If you don't want it, I'm cool.
Yeah. Right. Man, it's been an absolute pleasure with you tonight, Jay. We normally end at an hour. I could go all night, man.
No, you know what? I got to hop off here because I realized I'm out of wine.
Right.
So I got to go get some more wine, man.
Right. So
this was awesome. I appreciate you guys having me on. And you guys got great energy. Like I said, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. The movie is out right now. It's Atypical Wednesday. You can actually buy it like I did on YouTube. It was fantastic. Total recommendation on it. And of course, we got Orville coming back up on Hulu for this season. And man, let's stay in touch, Jay. I'm going to shoot you over my number via an email, and stay in touch because I want to have you back with us at some point, or at least bring you in on the radio show in the mornings. We do a morning show on FM, and I'd love to talk to you on there. So let's exchange some information and keep this going. And absolute love and respect for you, my friend. I appreciate you very much.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate both of you. And thanks to anybody who, said something they liked or said something they didn't like. I love and appreciate you too.
All right. Have a wonderful night, my friend.
Later, guys.
Later, buddy. Wow.
Whoa, yeah. Ooh.
How do you not fall in love with that guy? You know what I mean? It's like, that's who you want as a best friend.
Yeah.
Right?
It's incredible. Every week I'm get blown away by the guests, or just, what can you say? It's amazing.
We're very blessed. We're very blessed. And speaking of being blessed, let's bring in our production crew here tonight. Let's bring both of them on the camera. Let's see, where you at, Patrick?
Oh, hiding.
Dub's not there. Dub, you get in here. All right, here comes Patrick.
There he is.
A little dark.
Right?
Hey,
This is
little
our
dark.
amazing crew that helps us every single week. As you can see, Dub's office is empty there, so we'll just nod her out. But we are very blessed to have these people donate their time. I think it's important to say that, none of us, and not even the guests, are paid to be here. This is all out of everybody's just wanting to do something and do something special and come together and give people a place to get away. And, we're all doing what we can with limited access and to make something special for everyone.
Hey, and it raises everybody's vibration. Like what he did, I really feel like he just elevated anybody who was watching it. How could you not feel elevated by that, right?
Right.
And that you take that out into the world, you know what I mean? And it's just anybody who's trying to pursue a dream, it's what he's saying is so spot on that it's, you take that and it's like us doing the show. If we get network love, great. If we don't, what we're doing is successful. And if you're loving it and doing what we're doing, believe me, it's going to continue being successful. It's successful now.
I look forward to this every week, and I look forward to Mondays, and that's coming from somebody that's never liked Mondays at all. I said a lot that Monday is now my new favorite day of the week. You know what I mean? And I get to spend it with some great people, you guys, and the guests that come on, and it's just a great way, man. And sitting and listening to him, we get filled with anxiety and doubt and everything that's going on in the world right now. It's easy to feel anxious and doubtful, and you don't know when you're going to play again, Robbie, on a stage, and I don't know when I can get back in the studio with my team and produce a show and bring a concert and just go out and be part of something again. And that makes you very down and anxious and all those things. And listening to Jay tonight just really kind of made me feel hopeful again.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's strange. This whole time, I haven't felt down the whole time. Occasionally, I'm like a little tiny bit. For the most part, I feel like things are, everything's okay. Everything's okay. I keep myself busy. We do this. I've been doing music. I just don't feel down. And I was telling Luis Maldonado that. He goes, "Wow, he loves talking to me because," he goes, "I'm always just kind of feeling like, am I supposed to feel down?" I go, I'm not.
Yeah, you said you missed a little bit when you did that little thing over there in LA with the Mork, and you performed with Jack.
When we played, I was on stage at that point going, wow, I miss being on stage. I mean, I realized at that point, I didn't really realize it as much until we were playing. Then I thought, wow, I miss this. But once we're done, I'm kind of back to where I was. It'll come back around. We'll be playing again.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Everything will work out. I don't feel any anxiety over this at all. I don't know. Am I supposed to? Because I don't.
Yeah, and I wish I was that way. I'm somebody that has lived with anxiety, generalized anxiety for 20 plus years.
And you know what? I do. Normally I have a lot of that, but I don't.
Well,
maybe it's this. I'm kidding. This is the only day I have anything to drink is with you. That's it.
Right. And this is the first time.
I'm not a drinker. Come on, one glass and I'm loopy.
First time in how long, honey? Couple years that I've had a drink of alcohol. I just don't drink. Never turned me on.
Yeah. Yeah. I like doing it for the show because it just seems to be, I don't know. One glass seems to be a nice glass of wine.
So I'm going to show everybody what goes on behind the scenes, shall we?
Oh, uh-oh.
When we first started the video, my wife held up a paper saying no gum because I was chewing gum when we first started to talk to Jay. So I took a sip of wine and there is my gum. It's like, sip. There goes the gum.
Minty sangria.
It's good sangria. So, all right. I think we should tie it up here, man. But as always, we love every single one of you for joining in with us. What?
You remember the
Backbeat?
Let's shout out to Backbeat.
Backbeat music.
Bring up that logo, Patrick. Perfect.
Love it.
Love these guys.
Alexandra and the team over there in San Angelo. You can come over here, buddy. the team over there in San Angelo at Backbeat Music, man, we couldn't do it without these guys. So every week we have to pay for boosts and stuff.
There he is. Let's see your boy.
Yeah, there's the little guy. Every week we got to pay for boosts and stuff to get this out there a little bit further on Facebook, and Backbeat's coming strong with that, and they've helped us out greatly. So thanks much for that.
And of course, next week we have Joey Allen from Warrant, which will be fun.
Say what?
And then we have Chips Enough from Enough's Enough, which will be great. Chip's a great guy. And then we've got Magic Marino. Most people probably don't know Magic, but Magic's a guy I work with, well, recently actually, but over 20 years ago, Magic is worked with, I mean, I don't even know how many people: Eric Clapton, Barbra Streisand, David Lee Roth, Aretha Franklin, Stevie Wonder, Phil Collins. I mean, the list just goes on. And it'll be interesting to talk to him, because I'll bring that up, because he never told me any of this stuff when I was working with him. First time I start finding it out is when I was in his studio, and I look on the wall and I see his name on a record with Eric Clapton, and I'm going, what? Hey, did you work with Eric Clapton? Oh yeah, worked with Eric Clapton. I'm like, whoa. One of these guys who just even tell you, then you start finding out all these things. I'm going, wow. See his name in the liner notes of the David Lee Roth Skyscraper record. I'm going, wow. Holy cow. I mean, he's done a lot of stuff, and he should have a lot of good stories, and he's very spiritual being. So
He'll fit right in then.
Yeah.
He'll fit right in. Right on, man. Yeah, we've got some great weeks to come in. August is going to be huge.
Yeah.
And once again, special thanks to all of you out there and for getting involved. And we love each one of you. And I think that's where we should end it. What do you think?
I think so.
Cheers. We'll see you next time.